feel about your pass rush? Because look, you don't have really much besides Vernon, a guy who has big sack numbers in the pass. I mean, where's the pass rush going to come from? I guess.
I think some of that will just come as we get into it, finding what some of the strengths of the guys that we have on the field, and trying to put those guys in the best possible position. You know, OV we know is a dynamic guy, a guy that can rush from different angles, a guy that you can move around and put in different matchups, and he's embraced everything we've done to this point. I've loved working with him, and I think he's made some great progress, not just in this scheme, but I think as I've looked at him as a player, he's sharpening his tools right now. Some of the other guys that I think can give us some impact would be guys that have a chance to win one-on-one matchups, or are guys that we can bring from different angles. And at times, if we have to, change who the fourth rusher is. At times, maybe bring 5 or 6, whatever we would need to do.
What do you like about your 3 guys up front? You got the 2 young guys, Snacks in the middle. It seems like that's imposing, almost 1,000 pounds there.
Yeah, from a young guy standpoint, I think BJ's really coming along. I'm really excited where he's at right now. Again, he's another guy excited to get his pads on, excited to see how we play in the run game when we get to training camp and have some padded practices. We know that it's going to start with a run game, and if we're going to be good in the run game, it's going to start with those guys, interior guys up front. All 3 of those guys you mentioned have done a great job for us, and I think Kerry Wynn's had a really, really good offseason, and I'm excited to see him in pads. Josh, Francis, I mean, the list can go on. Robert, I'm going to leave guys out if I keep going, but I'll say that I'm excited about where that group is at right now, but more importantly, I'm excited about putting some pads on and seeing where we're really at.
Can I ask you specifically,
Yeah.
Hill and Tomlinson? We all know Snacks as the run stopper. Do Hill and Tomlinson have pass rush skills in their game that they could be more than just run guys?
I do think so. And one of the things when we drafted BJ, that was part of us selecting him, is because we thought he has a potential to be a 3-down player. Whether that's a middle push guy or whether that's a guy that can beat some guards and create some disruption for either edge players or edge pressure guys. Dalvin's the same kind of player. Has some slipperiness to him, has the ability to get on edges, and excited to get, again, I keep saying that, but I'm anxious to get to training camp to really see where some of that's at. But I do expect those guys to be able to help us.
James, in baseball sometimes they talk about being strong up the middle.
Yeah.
When you look at your middle there, where you have Snacks, you have Allen, and you have Landon, where does that stack up in your mind? How important is that?
Yeah, I think that's, you just said 3 Pro Bowl players that are, potential all pros that, I think can have all 3 of those guys. I think can still play at the highest level of their careers, and lucky, that's one of the reasons you wanted to run this defense and have a chance to coach this defense is the first and last guy you said when you looked at who was here, and guys that are playmakers. Snacks being a guy that can win. We went and looked initially at all the one-on-ones that he had in the run game, and there wasn't anyone that blocked him one-on-one in the run game. And I think what he'll find and what we'll find is we'll be able to get him some one-on-ones. Whether that's matched up on a center or on a guard, we'll be able to get him some one-on-ones in the run game. And, Alex done an outstanding job. He's growing into the leadership role of this defense. And, that always happens over time, especially when you're putting a new system in, because everyone's really worried about their wheelhouse, their box, their responsibility. Then all that other stuff comes when we get to training camp and we start playing for real.
James, I'm sure just about every defensive coordinator is going to get up there and say, I like aggressive, I like to have pressure.
Sure.
What is different about your pressure? Do you think that you can manufacture with this team?
I think the thing that we focus on, however and whenever we're coming, is that it's about beating your man. If there's anything that we focus on and talk about, it's about lining up over the guy you're going to play against, and you might be moving down to that guy to rush against him. You might be a safety blitzing and on a back. You might be a safety on a tackle. There's going to be different guys in different situations. They're going to have one-on-ones. As much as you talk about one-on-ones on the perimeter in the pass game, covering your man, there's other guys that have to win too to help those guys out. And if we're going to be any good as a pressure team, we're going to have to win some of those one-on-ones inside, not outside on the
So is
perimeter.
it less, I mean, I'm not saying it's less scheme related, but are you putting somewhat more onus on the players to say, we're going to put you here, and now it's up to you?
Well, I think, I think that's the game, though. I think the game is our players win games in this league, and I love that about these guys is they haven't shied away from that. They want an opportunity to be one-on-one up with someone, and you have to want that, and you have to relish that opportunity. And I think that's what the game is, especially with the way this league has kind of developed and grown, where everything is a lot more horizontal. Formations are more horizontal. People are more spread out, where it doesn't matter if you're a zone team or a man team. There's plays in space that you have to make that are one-on-one plays, and I think that's a little bit of that is relates to how the league has gone, and a little bit of that's personal philosophy.
I know it's early, but I'm seeing Curtis Riley with the ones quite a bit. What stands out about him?
Curtis is a guy that we all know he's played corner, so he's got really great feet and hips and range. And, the thing I'm probably most proud of him about is how he's picked it up playing safety. Because that's a change when you go from playing outside to go inside, and some of the checks and the communication and 1 minute you're in the post, the next minute you're down, or you're playing in the half field, or you're blitzing off the edge, and some of the different duties that our safeties have to handle here. He's done a really nice job with that. So I'm excited for him getting to training camp just like all these guys, and he's competing his butt off with a group of guys that I've really seen grow over the last 2 months.
What kind of impact has winning game 8 off you as a player?
Yeah.
Sort of rebuilding the camaraderie in that secondary.
Pro's pro. He's a pro's pro. Everything that, when we talked about, having Will join us, anyone you talk to, that's just loved his work ethic, loved the seriousness and the professional mentality he brings to the room. Going to ask great questions. Going to be very engaged. Has done a great job with some of our younger players and some of our guys that are, 3- and 4-year players about how to have longevity in this league and play at a high level. He knows what great defense looks like from the inside, and we're excited to have him here working with us.
Just one more thing. As a defensive coordinator, you've obviously got a chance to see Saquon in the last month.
He's a special player. Guy that can any given down is going to create a lot of matchup nightmares for coordinators in this league and players in this league. So, no question.